In this video, we shall create the last set of templates, and those are for expense tracker database. We shall use our same old Google Sheet. Column each contains the expense head of expense tracker database. If you look at the names, it is almost same as monthly expense head, which is column E. One exception that you can see here is for utility bills, where under a single monthly expense head utility bills, there are multiple expense heads to capture different kind of utility bills like electricity, gas, broadband, mobile. Let's create the first template for fresh items. To create the template, we will open the expense tracker database, then click on this down arrow, then new template. The name would be fresh items, and similar to monthly expense tracker database, we will use this @today, which will capture the date on which all these records would be created. For expense tracker database expense head, there is no display order, but it has got this expense category which is mentioned under column I in this Excel, and these are the different expense categories. As you can see, if you remember, we created a database for capturing this expense category and linked that database to expense tracker database. As you can see, it's a different database. So to complete this fresh item template of expense tracker database, we need to define this expense category first. So let's do that. Let's go back to the Notion database page, and as you can see, here is this expense category database. Let's open this. Let's first add all the different types of expense category in this database so that we can link those while creating the templates for expense tracker database. And what are those different expense categories? As you can see, these are the different kind of expense categories. There are 4: survival and reducible, only reducible, and eliminable. So let's first quickly add all this expense category into the expense category database. So instead of creating new template, we will just create the record directly. First one will be survival. So maybe we can add a cover. Yeah, we'll just keep the default on, and icon maybe leave. Next one is survival reducible. Okay, let's add a cover for this as well. Okay, so let's add this one. Let's create for reducible. Okay, add a cover, add icon, maybe this one, and the last one is eliminable. Add a cover, add any icon, trees, maybe this one. So we have added all those 4 different kind of expense categories into the database, and this database, as you can see, is linked with expense tracker database. So we can now go back to our expense tracker database template creation for fresh items. Okay, so now if we check the expense category for fresh items, it is mentioned as survival. So we will select survival here. Expense amount will be empty for now in the template. Then expense month would be today. This column name is little misleading, so let's change this one. Edit property, let's call it expense date. Okay, let's do the same in the Excel as well. Here is the expense tracker database columns. We'll call it expense date. Okay, so let's go back here. This is not needed. Last edited by, last edited time already populated, notes not needed. We need to add this survival amount %, and it is mentioned in column U, as you can see here. And for the fresh items, the survival amount % is 100. So we need to put 100 here. We talked about survival amount and survival amount % in the first video. In case you want to refer that, link is in the description. And these are the columns that we need to update in the template. So let me also rearrange this column quickly. Let's add a cover. So change fresh fruits. We will select this one. Add an icon. Now we need to link this expense tracker database with the monthly budget database, and we did link the monthly budget database with the yearly budget database in the last video, so we know how to do that. So let's go ahead and do that. We have linked database multiple times, so we now know how to do it. Let's complete that. To link the database, we need to create a relation property, and we want to link the expense tracker database with the monthly budget database. So let's click on this monthly budget database. We want this to be two-way relation and then add relation. The monthly budget database is successfully linked with the expense tracker database. Next, we want to see all the fresh items record of expense tracker database inside the monthly budget database fresh items record, so that at any point of time we can see what are the different fresh items related expenses for that specific month. If you have seen the last video, then you already know how to do that, right? We listed down all the fresh items of monthly budget database inside the fresh item record of yearly budget database. If you want to see that video, link is in the description. To capture the fresh item records of expense tracker database inside the monthly budget database fresh item record, we need to modify the monthly budget database template. So let's do that. So we will open the monthly budget database fresh item template. Let's make it full screen. We need to add a database table view, and the database is going to be expense tracker database. Then we need to add the filter, and this time it will be monthly budget database. Let's make it advanced filter, and we need to select fresh items. So we have added the database table view of expense tracker database inside the fresh items template of monthly budget database. Now let's look at some examples. But before we see the example, let's talk a bit about how you are going to capture our expense in this budget and expense tracking system. For any month, there could be different kind of expenses, like expenses related to fresh items or groceries or utility bills or medical or vacation or anything like that. And we may choose to add those expenses in the system on the same day those expenses are being done, or it can be done on a weekly or fortnightly or monthly basis. Doing it on a daily basis is definitely a overkill, but at the same time doing it on a monthly basis is too late, because if for any specific reason we need to recall any of the expenses, then it is going to be difficult. So a sweet spot is adding the expenses in the system on a weekly basis, which is I also follow for my expense and budget tracking system. Let's see how do we add that. Let's create a new fresh items record in monthly budget database from the updated template. We cannot use these records that we created as example in the last video, because none of this have the database table view inside it. If you open this, then there is no table view, whereas in the updated template we just added this table view. So let's delete these records and now create a new monthly database fresh items. So the record got created. Now to add an expense record, we shall open the monthly budget database record, then go to the table view of expense tracker database and click on this down arrow, and what do we see? The template of expense tracker database that we just created. Obviously this is what it has to be, because this is the table view of the same expense tracker database. Now let's click on this fresh item template to create fresh item expense record, and let's assume the expense amount is 30. That's all we need. And Notion just created a new record in the expense tracker database, and you can also see that record here in this table view of the same database. Let's go and check the record inside the database itself. If we go to expense tracker database, we also see this record here. Let's open it and look at this record closely. Do you see something? Look closely. Do you see now? This expense tracker database record got linked to monthly budget database. But how it happened? We just created the record. We did not link anything. Let's create another record. Let's go to the monthly database again. Open the fresh item record. Let's make it full screen. Click on this template. This time let's say the amount is 50, and let's go back to expense tracker database. This is the new record. If we open this one also got linked to the monthly budget database, as you can see here. Let's create a record from inside the expense tracker database. Let's click on this, then fresh items, expense amount, let's say 85, Let's close this. So the record got created. Now if we open this record, come down, as you can see, this record is not linked to monthly budget database. As you can see, it is empty. We can also check that from here. These two are linked, but the one that we created inside this expense tracker database is not linked. So what is happening? This is also a key concept of Notion, and I shall try to explain it as best as I can. But if you have doubt, you can rewatch this portion and you can also comment and I shall respond. So let's go back to Notion. Since we are using this filter in this expense tracker database table view inside the fresh item record, so whenever a new expense tracker database record will be created from this table view inside the monthly database fresh item record, Notion will enforce this particular filter or criteria. And what it means is that the newly created expense tracker database record would be automatically linked to the fresh items record of monthly budget database. And this is a great feature. We just need to add the expense from this table view and Notion will automatically link those expenses to the monthly budget database record, and we do not have to do anything manually from outside. I hope you got the concept. If not, then please rewatch this part, and if you still have doubt, then you can add into the comment and I will try to explain there. Expense tracker database template does not need to be scheduled because we would create the expense records manually inside the monthly budget database record we just discussed. So we just need the templates. With this, we are done with the fresh item expense tracker database template. Let's create a couple of more templates step by step, and then I will create the rest. Let's create the template for grocery. And today for grocery, the expense category is survival. So let's select survival here. Expense date is today. Survival percentage for grocery is also 100, so we'll put 100 here. Let's add a cover. So grocery, let's select this one, add an icon. We can use the same shopping trolley. We now need to go back to monthly budget database. Let's delete all of this except the fresh items. So let's edit the grocery template, make it full screen, database table view. The database is going to be expense tracker database, and as you can see, it is showing the fresh items, but we want to see the groceries only, and you know how to do that. Let's make it advanced filter, then we will select grocery from here, and as you can see, those are disappeared. Now we can create a new grocery monthly item, and let's make it full screen, and we can create couple of grocery related expenses by clicking on this grocery. Let's say maybe 25. Okay, let's create another one, and we can say maybe 35, and both the records are created here. Now there is one more thing that we can do. If you click on this, you see both fresh items and grocery. Now since this is grocery, we can do one more thing. If you click here, you see the fresh item and grocery template is there, and there is another default template empty which is shown as default. So what we can do, we can make this grocery template as default, and you will get a pop-up like this where it will say that use grocery as default template when creating new pages, and it's giving these options. We want this to be default for this particular table view only, so we'll select on this, and now if we click on this new, you can see it will take this template as default template. So let's say 45 here, and it just created the new record. But if we create another grocery items, and now if we click on this new, you will see that it is not picking up the grocery template we just created. Why? Because we updated here, which is a record. We did not update into the template. So let's do that. Let's edit this template, go to the table view, click on this and make it set as default. Again click on this, come out. Now if we create a new grocery record, let's make that full screen, and if we click on this new, it will pick up the grocery template automatically, because that is what is set as default template, as you can see here. So let's do that for fresh items as well. Edit, instead of this we'll say this as default, and we can quickly test that also. Let's create a new fresh item record, full screen. Now here we can see two templates, but this is what is set as default for fresh items, and if we click on this, as you might have guessed, it will pick up the fresh item templates. So 70 like that, and all these records are here as well, as you can see. Okay, so now let's create another template for term insurance. So click on new template, term insurance @today. Expense category for term insurance is survival. Expense date is today, and survival amount I'm guessing 100. Yeah, that's 100% here. Okay, let's add a cover, change insurance. Let's select this one, then add an icon, medical, this one. Okay, we'll go to the monthly budget database, we'll edit the term insurance, then add the table view. The database is expense tracker database, so we'll add the filter monthly budget database. Let's convert this to advanced filter, contains term insurance, so everything disappeared, and we shall make it default template. Now if we go to monthly budget database and create term insurance record here, full screen, this is the default template because we just set it. So if we just click on this, we can add maybe any amount, 100, just as an example. So it just created the term insurance. So I hope you got the concept. Let me create the templates for rest of the expense head. So we have created all the templates for expense tracker database, as you can see, and we have also updated the monthly budget database templates and created the records. That's all we needed to create the templates for expense tracker database. We have also learned one key concept of Notion where it enforces the linking of records between two databases, and we will see a lot of use of this in future Notion videos. I hope you found this video useful. If so, then please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.